I Love LA is actually like so good. You all just don't like awful women. Hey, hi, hello, my name is Anarchy, and today I'm going to be talking about Rachel Sennett's show, I Love LA. I have tried to dress Gen Z. I am 22, so I should be able to do it. Ren fair, business casual, wearing a skirt from 18, and boots I once wore to be Alexander Hamilton at an 8th grade wax museum is the fit today. Hair is in desperate need of professional help, and face needs acne patches. That's sort of the fit breakdown for you. Very LA, I would say. Now listen, you all, the internet at large, say you love awful women, and I hear the whispers. But when it comes to your comedy, we give men a lot more leeway and what they're allowed to say and do and how they act, and we give them a lot more freedom and grace than women. And if women are mean and funny, they must also be camp. They must be older and draggy. Think Jenna Maroney.
My niece drew a picture of me and I look so fat!
Or Moira Rose.
John, I've been stripped of every morsel of pleasure I earned in this life!
And they're so far removed from reality that it's funny. Their meanness can't even be real. But that's not Rachel Sennett's goal as a creative. And everything she creates is sprinkled with a layer of unreality that makes her work fascinating and to me reminiscent of Tina Fey's comedy style. But Sennott is always like so real. This video is a breakdown of I Love LA and why I think the show is so thematically rich and interesting and in-depth, but I need you to understand before I get into anything that Rachel Sennott to me is an emerging auteur. And I know when we say auteur, we think of people who seem more serious and put together and professional, but Rachel Sennott is serious and put together and professional. She just isn't the kind of auteur we're used to talking about because she speaks with a vocal fry and lets herself seem dumb and ditzy when it comedically suits her. She's a model and she's an actress and she's a really good actress and she's an it girl who's friends with Charlie XCX. Her work has a perspective that deserves to be analyzed and examined as she continues to create things and as her own voice emerges in our media ecosystem. For those of you who don't know, Sennott co-wrote the lesbian loser comedy Bottoms, a story about two girls who start a fight club to get laid, and in that film she plays PJ.
Oh, well, all women are hot to me. What the fuck? These girls are ugly.
Who is a loser and certified asshole that you root for anyway. Like, she's awful. She's genuinely a bad person, and I love her. A lot of what made that movie fantastic can be found in I Love LA, even though I Love LA is about people who are trying so desperately not to be losers and who kind of succeed in their fashion and the people who like them and in their careers. The humor in both is very similar. It's that Gen Z kind of awkward cringe humor that sometimes pops up. The dialogue is very similar, and it also has characters who kind of get wrapped up in their own delusions. It also allows the absurd to trickle in, and it never says, oh, this wouldn't happen in real life, so we can't do it. It says, this wouldn't happen in real life, and wouldn't it be so fucking funny if it did? And it lets the characters respond seriously to everything, which increases the humor. But what I find more interesting about Bottoms and now I Love LA is the similarities between Sennett's characters. They're both very self-centered people who are very single-minded in the pursuit of their goals. They step on others' toes to get what they want, and they hurt the people around them. And yet, Sennott plays them in such a way that makes you actually care about them and see them as real people, and you can understand exactly where they are coming from. And as much as I'd love to talk about bottoms, I do have an article that you can read on Matthew's Place about it, so go check that out. It also goes more into why I think the absurd works in bottoms. But today I'm here to defend I Love LA because you guys are not giving it the love it deserves, and I just don't think people are you don't see it the way I see it. Most of these videos are I'm inspired by things. It's just people don't see it the way I see it. I Love LA follows Maya, Rachel Sennott, an ambitious talent agent who lives with her boyfriend Dylan, a middle school teacher in LA. Maya's best friend Tula, who lives in New York City, comes to visit Maya for her birthday, and things erupt into chaos because Tula ran out of money and resources at NYC and now needs a place to stay. Her arrival upends Maya's life, but also gives Maya a chance to have her own client. The show follows her through wacky LA scenarios in order to help Tula rise to fame. Tula and Maya are aided in their quest for success and fame by Charlie, a stylist who is flippant with people and a social climber, and Alani, a nepo baby who would do anything for her friends, but doesn't have a direction for her life. Dylan is also there to support Maya, but as she grows more ambitious, she pulls Dylan into scenarios he doesn't want to be a part of and drags him around like a little dog on a leash, and not in a kinky way, although there is... Is this gonna be the second time I talk about like BDSM themes on my channel? Is this gonna be it? Am I gonna do that? We'll get to it. We'll get to it. Maya likes to be choked during sex. The tone of ILA is much more comedic than something like Succession, even though Succession was a comedy. And it's much more focused on friendship above all else. The show has something it wants to say, but it is a comedy rooted in its extremely dysfunctional group of friends who sometimes bring out the worst in each other instead of the best, like we expect from a lot of these group comedies. I Love LA is a show about the stereotypical LA person, and that's something that I think people didn't cross their minds. They were like, where is the city of LA? The show is not about LA or its different communities and how that works together. It is about breaking down the stereotype of the awful self-centered person who lives there and really getting into what makes that person, that human, tick. So, to get what the show is trying to make you think and feel, the only way to talk about it is to go through the characters and show you that these are some of the most developed sitcom characters I've seen, given the brevity of the show. We are introduced to Maya as this ambitious but down-to-earth girl trying to make it in LA. While her friends are rich and successful, she and her boyfriend have to work to get by and get ahead. Her friends' lives are glamorous, or seemingly glamorous, but Maya's isn't. It's characterized by this small, slightly messy house with her boyfriend always cooking in the kitchen or just doing like something domestic. And then Tula comes in and she throws all of Maya's plans out the window. Specifically her birthday plans, as now Maya has to entertain Tula and go with her whims. But by the end of the episode, Maya's anger at Tula for twisting her plans and for not coming with her subsides as the two realize they're better together and can enact their plan where Tula is an influencer and Maya is her manager. And this feels like Maya is damning herself, and you kind of think that, oh my god, Tula is gonna send Maya into this codependent chaos spiral. But no, what you're gonna see over the course of the series is Maya spiral into control, and it's gonna be bad. As the show continues, Maya becomes obsessed with doing anything to secure Tula brand deals and campaigns and notoriety. Anything she can do to prove that she is good at her job and successful, Maya is gonna do 100% of the time. Maya wants to be at the top and she wants to be the best. It is about Tula and wanting what's best for her. It's also really about Maya's need to be amazing and cool and awesome. Tula is fine as long as she's having fun, and she's kind of aimless. And this is very frustrating to Maya Obviously, you want your client to be a little more interested in what you're doing for them, but it also allows Maya to have full control over Tallulah's career. Tallulah is more, oh, I want to do this, so let's go do this. And then Maya has to fix it or change things, rather than Tallulah pushing back against Maya. And if Tallulah does push back against Maya, it's usually pushing back against a higher change of command or an order that Maya herself did not like. Tallulah is kind of Maya's perfect client because Maya gets to play savior. She gets to take control and fix Tallulah's problems, and usually doesn't have to tell Tallulah off or say, don't do this. She just sort of fixes it and then gets to play the hero and then gets to be told how amazing she is, which is really good for her ego. Tallulah makes Maya's life more messy, but it also gives Maya more chances to show Tallulah why she needs her, which is not great. And again, she wants people to look up to her, but she's a social climber. She's not at the top of the pyramid, and Maya hates being talked down to or ordered around by people with power over her. Now, she will suck up to people. She doesn't often tell people off, but when they take power away from her, she can't stand it. This is not a bad trait of Maya's per se. Like, you shouldn't take shit from your boss, but Maya gets so upset when she's criticized. In the final few episodes of the show, Maya ends up having a flirtation with this guy, this talent agent she interned for in New York. They end up going to her hotel room and having a sexual encounter. And he tells her deep down she likes to give control to others, and that she'll do whatever he says because she just wants to be told what to do. As we see with Dylan, she does like when someone is aggressive with her and dominates her, but she likes to get them there. Like, she's kind of controlling the outcome of the sexual encounter, and that's not how she is in real life. And I said we talk about BDSM, and that's sort of the principle of like that acronym. The things you like don't necessarily mean you are that way in the real world, or you might want a dominant partner in the bedroom, but you really hate that outside of this scenario where you can play act fantasies. And that is something we see with Maya, and it kind of makes sense that someone who wants so much control in her life would kind of instigate scenarios in the privacy of her own space where she feels like someone is taking control of her, even though they're not, and she's in control the whole time. Maya's former boss offers her an outrageous salary and says, come work with me, Tallulah will be your client, we'll both manage her, it will be great. And Maya says, I'll think about it. And he says, no, you're gonna do it because you just want to be told what to do. Maya most definitely does not like being told what to do because she must be in the best in the room, and if she's taking orders from people, how can she be the one on top? And how can she be the one in control? So she decides not to take the deal. And she tells her friend Charlie about this, and she's like, how do I tell Tallulah? And he's like, just tell Tallulah that this guy just wanted to fuck you, and there was never a deal, and he never cared about you. Maya can't do that, though. And it's something very subtle. She instead tells Tallulah, oh no, he didn't want you. He offered me a deal, but he didn't want you. Because Maya must look like she's the valuable one in the situation, and if it's like, oh, he just wanted to fuck me, it devalues her, and she can't be devalued. She has to be someone people look up to and see as valuable. Maya is very selfish and very self-centered. She usually only focuses on people's needs if they relate to her and what she wants. And we see this really through her boyfriend. She knows fuck all about Dylan, and by extension we know fuck all about Dylan. We just know that he's kind of a quiet, nerdy guy who's a teacher. And the thing that makes Maya interesting and also kind of relatable as a character is she does bite the hand that feeds her, and she does things that I think a lot of people wish they could do when they're ordered around by people at the top of the social ladder. And Maya will also get herself in crazy situations or weird situations if it benefits her. She's really willing to do anything to get to the top, and there's not a line. It's not performative. It's a genuine want to do anything to get to the top. And I think that that makes her relatable. Like, she is a bad person, she needs too much control over people, and she doesn't care about people that much. But when you see the pursuit of her goals and the lengths she's willing to go to, there is something in your brain that goes, yeah, I mean, I get it. Like, she wants this so bad, and how could you tell her not to want that thing? Like, when it makes up her entire being. And, you know, Maya does care about her friends and her boyfriend. Not enough. She should be a little more open to them and a little less controlling. But she's not the devil 100% of the time. I say she's a bad person, but she can be a good person. And I really love that Sennott is like, I'm gonna give you someone that you can't say is fully evil. You root for her goals, even though she's bad. And maybe sometimes you think, oh, maybe she shouldn't get that because it is making her a worse person. And that's what makes Maya so fascinating. You also learn that her dad is a lawyer, and this kind of shtick where she is someone who started at the bottom and is getting closer to the top isn't necessarily true, but despite Maya's kind of wealth, she will do anything to succeed. And that is still admirable. Maybe it's a weird place to go from Maya to her friend Charlie, but Charlie has the most interesting arc in the show because Charlie is the only other climber in the cast, and his arc is sort of the exact opposite of Maya's. He starts the show off as someone who only knows how to be mean. His friends love him for being judgmental and rude. He doesn't care much about other people. He still cares about his friends, but he doesn't care much about the people around him. And he really only cares about his success and his ambition. His opinions and his kind of obvious lying end up getting him fired from his job as British pop star sensation Mimi Rush's stylist, played by the Irish queen herself, Iowa Debris. Charlie turns resentful and cannot accept any responsibility for the reason he got fired. And he was kind of stealing clothes and doing some lying. He takes credit for everything Mimi Rush has ever done and insinuates that she is nothing without him, fashion-wise. He also immediately starts looking for opportunities elsewhere and trying to prove that he was wronged. He goes from supporting Mimi Rush to saying how awful she was, and he makes a hat that said, "Mimi Rush fired me for being gay and Jewish." At a house party he goes to, he ends up flirting with Lucas, who he just thinks is this kind of like new in town gay guy, and he invites him to get ice for a party with him under the guise of hooking up. He learns that Lucas didn't know that he was being asked to hook up. He's just really Catholic. Charlie is annoyed about the situation he's got himself stuck in with this good Catholic boy until he learns that Lucas is a viral singer with millions of fans. So Charlie immediately starts playing Kiss Up. It's like a switch immediately flips where he's like, oh, you have something I want. And in that way, he's like Maya. Again, they'll kiss up to someone to get what they want. However, they hate when people are in control of them and can make their lives worse. But part of their game as kissing up is they lie. And there's a sort of power you have in lying, and you're making the control someone has over you a kind of performance. Lucas does hire Charlie as his stylist, and Charlie has to put up this whole act as he ingratiates himself with Lucas's kind of team, which is a bunch of Catholic men who enjoy clean living and bro time. And bro time is not a sex metaphor. They love bro time, like just being bros together. But Charlie is kind of won over by them because these guys are genuinely kind and they support each other. And they don't make fun of each other with vicious insults. They actually really care about people's struggles and being there for them. And Charlie kind of starts to care a little bit for Lucas and like finds something nice in their kindness and their honest interaction. While this is going on, Charlie is in this long-term situationship that's just kind of been broken off with Andrew. The first time we see them in bed, Charlie is like, we gotta stop. This was fun. I gotta check my phone. And Charlie kind of is more obsessed with his job and what's going on in his life Then with Andrew, even though Charlie clearly loves him and doesn't want to put as much commitment into as he would need to do that. And we see this happen with Charlie's hookups where he gets distracted by something else and can't be in that moment. Maya is very much the same way, where she will blow off her boyfriend for work every single time. So Charlie is kind of dealing with not being able to open up and be with another person the way he wishes he could be while he gets involved with this like Catholic group. Unfortunately, the growth or whatever happens with that doesn't happen because Lucas dies. So Charlie goes to the funeral, and you can't tell if he's really broken up about Lucas. I would argue he is a little bit. And he runs into Andrew there, and Andrew tells him he's moving, and Charlie has to be like, great. This moment really upsets him, and he also admits to Alani and Tula, oh my god, I have a sex tape with him, and I need you to burn it when I die. And Alani later is like, no. You're going to burn it now. You're gonna get rid of it today. They go to a shop to figure out which tape it was on, and they end up, finding the sex tape, and Charlie has a moment alone watching it and just seeing how happy and in love he and Andrew were. And he texts Lucas, the dead number, thinking about jerking off, thinking about sharing an emotion. And when the text doesn't go anywhere, he starts to cry. And I do think that does show he cared about Lucas, and he cared about having a relationship where he could be honest about his emotions and wouldn't be judged for it, where he could be honest that he was in love with someone. Because I think to him, he would find love something corny, and so like what even is that? Like, it's a serious emotion, and Charlie doesn't really trade in serious emotions. And so I think there is something LA about like viewing, okay, all those serious emotions, like, what is the goal in those emotions? You know what I mean? Like, what is the angle with them? What are you trying to accomplish here? Like, nothing is ever serious because people like Charlie and people like Maya are always acting to get ahead. So it's like, when they feel something real, what do you even do with that? Like, no one's gonna take it seriously. And I think that's the loop he gets stuck in. So in this episode, Charlie is kind of surrounded and reminded that there are like genuine people around him, and this judgmental artifice slips away when he starts to cry and realizes that he does want something real. In the final episode, Charlie flies to New York to help out his friends for Fashion Week, and he bumps into Andrew. And Andrew goes, well, do you have somewhere to work? Do you have somewhere to be? And Charlie goes, no, I've got nowhere to be. I can just be with you in this moment. And I don't know where the relationship is going. I don't know if it will go anywhere in season 2, but it does show that Charlie has grown into someone who can really value the relationships he has with people and maybe not see them as corny anymore and see them as something to actually put effort into. And while this whole arc sounds serious, it's funny. I mean, he cries to a sex tape. He learns how to be like a person through Catholic himboism. Charlie isn't like fully healed. He isn't fully changed. I mean, again, the show is kind of like no one is 100% good and 100% bad all the time. He does tell Maya to lie to Tula, and she does do that. Like, he does understand the climbing and the, oh my gosh, this person is your client, so even though you care about them, you have to lie to them. And he does need to get out of that mindset a little bit. But I like where he's going because it's very opposite to Maya, where Charlie is like opening up more. Meanwhile, what we'll get to later a little bit is Maya's personal relationships, I think, are doomed. And if they're not doomed, they're about to get worse. Where I think Charlie is on this pretty positive trajectory of putting his best foot forward and having people who care about his relationships. So we do have to talk about Tula. She is your type B bestie. She needs someone to take care of her because she's a mess, and she is just on this crazy ride called life. She doesn't want fame and success, but it's like, who else could she be if not an influencer? She has no life skills except for like being someone you're kind of entranced by. And I think Odessa Zion is like perfect casting because like I am entranced by her. Like, and especially like her playing this character is just so fun and free and flighty. Like by the midpoint I was like, oh yeah, no, she's not a good person, but I keep forgetting because she's just so fun. You're like, oh, I want you to feel happy and be okay. And then you have to go, no, what, you are a grown woman. Be responsible for yourself. And so it really makes sense why she would be so successful, because she just has such a natural charisma that it's like, okay, I do get it. I wish we could see more of her fame and more of like what she is posting on the internet. You don't really get a lot of that, but I think that could really help like show the media landscape, or like how fans interact with her, or you know, like what kind of space is she in. But that's because I'm chronically online, so I kind of want the chronically online perspective of Tallulah. And Tallulah does care about things. She really does care about Maya and their friends. And she does care about her girlfriend, and she and her girlfriend are really cute together. What I love about their relationship is her girlfriend is a chef, which is a job that is chaos with a structure. And Tallulah is someone who needs chaos plus structure. Tallulah doesn't like to be boxed in. She doesn't, like Maya, be told what to do. But she also needs structure. She needs a guideline to follow, or someone who she trusts to kind of lead her through things. And I think her girlfriend is a good person for that, because her girlfriend isn't micromanaging and very intent on success like Maya is, but she seems like someone who is laid back but is also open to the chaos. And I really think that that is an interesting relationship and an interesting dynamic to have in the show. However, this chaos plus structure thing is also why Tallulah is the perfect person for Maya to manage. And I want in season 2 to see Maya have to manage more than one client, because Tallulah is someone who needs to be taken care of and needs someone to guide her through things. And the chaos Tallulah gets herself in is something Maya can save her from, but it's also something that I think both Tula and Maya like, because they can stick it to the man. And I would love to see Maya have to deal with someone who would stick it to her. Tallulah and Maya do get into fights, but they're friends and they love each other, and they're incredibly codependent because, again, the things that they look for in other people that also feed kind of their bad choices, they find in each other. Tallulah doesn't have to pick up her own messes as long as Maya is there, and Maya gets someone who will always run to her and will always kind of let her do whatever, to a point. Again, Tallulah is not like a helpless puppy. I would really like to see Tallulah take some more agency or something, but I have a feeling that they could end up just getting more and more codependent on each other. So from Tallulah, we have another kind of type B person in Alani. But Alani is a little less chaotic and more just go with the flow. She's also much more emotionally regulated than anyone in the cast, and she's kind of really good at picking up on people's emotional problems and what they need. Like, she can be dumb and oblivious, but she is also incredibly empathetic and very kind to other people, especially when compared to Charlie and Maya, where they will insult anyone they don't like. Alani is really positive towards everyone. She also doesn't have the pressure of needing a job or making money or kissing up to people because she's a Nepo baby. So, like, her genuine kindness is genuine. I love Alani because she's kind of the glue the friendship needs, because she is nice and kind and can keep them together when their personalities clash and they fight, or, you know, the control bit comes in. She does sort of exist on a different plane of existence because of the way that her life has played out. Like, she doesn't live by the same rules as everyone else. She isn't perfect. She's not going to tell people no, and she is going to go along with Maya and Tallulah and Charlie's antics. But she brings a much needed, like, humanity to the group. You are kind of led as the viewer to believe that this picture perfect world she lives in is a lie, because she doesn't understand how awful people can truly be, or that horrible things have been done to her or have happened to her. Like, we learn she gets groomed by like an older man when she's 14, and we start being like, okay, her father can't actually be the great person she thinks he is. In fact, in the final episode, Alani goes with Maya and Tallulah to NYC, and she goes to visit her father, and she sees a woman in her father's house, and the woman is like, oh yeah, I've been sleeping with your father forever. And so Alani's idea of this perfect romance her father and mother had is shattered, and she gets really upset, but she handles it through a conversation and through processing her emotions. Like, she's much better at dealing with something like this than some of the other characters are, is because she wants to talk about it and get through it and to understand it. However, it's a lie, and that woman is actually her father's stalker, and she tries to kill him. And then we actually learn that her father is a genuine, kind man who cares about Alani and knows things about her friends. And actually think this is kind of important. I don't think it means that, like, oh, celebrities are good, because we do run into people who are extremely wealthy and who are assholes, like Maya's former boss. But I think Alani shows that there are kind people who may be taken advantage of because of their kindness, but their kindness is not a detriment, and it allows them to have friends. Alani's life seems fake and artificial, and in a way it is. It's something that none of us could ever hope to achieve or to live. But unlike the artifice that so many other people are putting on, she never does that, and she sticks true to herself and what she likes. You know, the things you see in LA, like, for some people that is just their lives. It's not a performance, it is their life. And it adds a layer to, like, the artifice and performativity that is going on with Alani, who is such an unreal life, being so incredibly genuine. I do need to point out, however, that Alani is the only character who doesn't get, like, a long emotional arc and doesn't get to carry a lot of emotional weight in the story. And I would really like to see her get to do more of that in season 2. Her contrast with these friends, especially depending on the route some of them take, I think is going to be really important. So finally we have Dylan, or Peter Malark, the FNAF man himself, Josh Hutcherson. Dylan is a man on the outside in this. He doesn't get to go on the group adventures because he is working or cooking or playing board games. He feels kind of distant in the show, and that's probably because Maya is distant from him. She just kind of expects him to be or do whatever she needs him to be, and Dylan can't help but give into it most of the time because he does love her. Dylan's norminess is essential to the show, while Alani's, like, just being, like, a girl who is kind and genuine despite everything about her that would make it seem not genuine. Dylan is just, like, a guy. It also shows that there are normal people in LA who look at people like the people Maya wants to be or the people Maya works for and goes, what the hell? The people Maya interacts with are kind of a bubble, and Dylan is not in that bubble. He is, like, halfway in the bubble with Maya and halfway outside. We don't know much about Dylan. We do know he loves Maya and he wants this future where they're both happy and in, like, kind of a domestic bliss, and he works hard, but is not ambitious as Maya. He says he loves working with kids and he loves his job, and he's worried that his contentness is not enough for Maya, because Maya is someone who cannot be content with what she has. She is too ambitious. In episode 7, the best scene of the show occurs. Dylan and Maya have a fight after Maya drops a knife on her foot and doesn't even think to tell him she had to go to the hospital. As they fight, Maya starts lying. Like, she gives all the reasons for everything she's doing as, like, I just want a better life for us. I want to do this for you. I want to provide for you. I love you so much. Dylan realizes he has put so much time and effort into knowing things about Maya's life, and she doesn't know anything. She can't name a coworker. She can't do anything. So he calls a break in the relationship and says he's gonna go stay with a coworker. What I find really funny and awful is the second he says the coworker's name, and it's sort of close to the person Maya guessed was a coworker, she gets really upset and goes, that's what I said. And that's kind of the final bit of the scene where she's crying on the floor and says, that's what I said, because she can't even listen enough to realize that that is not what she said at all. I think that their relationship can't work unless one of them gives up something they are not willing to give up. And I'm interested to see what happens in season 2, especially after both of them had sexual encounters during their break, because Maya is possessive of what she has, and I think Dylan would feel guilty and also possessive of Maya. When Dylan cheats, the person he cheats on Maya with is a coworker, and he's like, oh, you probably have to go to work, you probably have to do something, and she says to him, we could just go for a walk, you know, we could see a movie. And it is reminiscent to me of Charlie and Andrew, of they've got nowhere to be, they have this time, and that's something that Dylan really wants, but I don't know if it's something that Maya can give him, and it doesn't justify cheating. If this was cheating, I don't know. I wish that the relationship had rules. I can't wait to see what happens with season 2 in them, and I want to see what happens when they're in the same room together, because I know it's gonna be some delicious television. And I know it's also going to be funny. Like, sometimes some of this stuff is really not funny. Their argument in episode 7 is kind of sad, but there's always a good thrown in joke somewhere in these emotional moments. And these characters really do act seriously and respond seriously to absurd things. And they do take the drama to a real place, even when everything is crazy. Because the show isn't that serious, but wonderfully, it also is. One thing I'm not going to talk about in this video, because I think it requires too much of a discussion, that I wanted this video to focus on the characters and Artifice, is that there is this important arc with Maya's company and her boss Alyssa, where you learn that Alyssa started her own company because of an assault that she was faced, and Maya's reaction to that assault and the way she talks about it is particularly disgusting. And Alyssa's life is really sad. Even though Alyssa does horrible things, there's a deep sadness to her that I think is a really brilliant thing to have a side character go through as she navigates this industry with men who are awful, and she still has to play this game. It's not something I think I can discuss with the level of nuance it deserves, but I do think it needed to be pointed out in this video. And if you watch the show, it is something that's going to come up. There's nothing graphic, but it is something alluded to, and the way Maya talks about it is particularly bad. And you can tell that Maya is talking about it in that way to show that she's willing to look over some things for her social climbing and for her goal of getting to the top. And it's something that women have to deal with, where if you want to get to the top, you might have to put some other women down, and you might have to pretend you don't believe them to get ahead. And you shouldn't do that. You should not do that. It's something that Maya is willing to do, and it's not good, and it's quite bad. I don't know how to discuss it properly, so I'm going to leave it at that. Rachel Sennott has her own voice and her own path to follow. She's on top of everything with I Love LA, is a phenomenal actress. I used to be funny as a testament to her range. And if we think of her as the showrunner, if we think of her as this emerging auteur, which we should, it's exciting to imagine what she will do as a creative and where she will take things and what she wants to say, because she is really dedicated to exploring deeply flawed and very messy people. And I Love LA really takes a stereotype she herself plays into, and really examines it and doesn't shy away from making that person awful and yet human. Very distinctly human. Artifice is the show's bread and butter, and it takes tropes we know and just makes complicated people and shows how they're hurt by their own lies and the own worlds that are set up like that because of powerful people, but also worlds that they trap themselves in. We get to watch two behind-the-scenes people who are in charge of people's image, who are in charge of their artificialness. Maya is in charge of Tula's brand. Charlie is literally in charge of how people look, their outside. Except at the end, we do see Charlie to have a real moment, and we see Maya, who is on a subway and kind of stuck in this real moment, go, man, I miss LA. Man, this kind of grossness is awful. This realness is awful. And the other characters have interesting things too. You know, Tallulah is a famous girl. She is an image, and yet she lets that image be managed and a little bit controlled by the people around her. And Alani seems fake, but is the most real character of all. And Dylan is just a normal guy. Go watch I Love LA and laugh because it's crazy and absurd, but also think about it when you watch. It can be a turn off your brain show where you feel like you're watching horrible people reality TV, but it is a show that really cares about exploring artifice, connection, and ambition. And if you look at it through that lens and you see what the humor is doing and how the characters play off of each other and what it has to say about a specific LA stereotype, you're gonna get a lot out of it. Anyways, that's the video. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe or unsubscribe, because you know I'm all about that follower count. having a very even and good number. So yeah, that's the video. Hopefully it will be edited reasonably. All right, bye.